Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to a live stream in your face. In today's live stream, we're going to try to tackle some very, very difficult subjects, some subjects that have gotten very sensitive, and I'm going to do my very, very best in today's live stream to be sensitive to the topics at hand, and basically try to do these topics justice. And hopefully, by the end of this, we all walk away with a little bit more than we came in with. What's going on, Think Different? Um, Today is definitely going to be a tough one for me. Real quick, I'm going to kind of test and make sure that okay. So I did get it wrong. All right. Make sure because we're going to be using some old audio that dates back a little ways. We're going to basically tackle the subject of current protests that have been going on right now and do what we can to shed some light on the situation. And hopefully by the end of this, we'll have a lot more information than we came in with. Because as the title suggests, history has a tendency sometimes to repeat itself, and that's a funny thing about history. It does have a tendency to repeat itself, and it does have a tendency, whether we want it to or not, it does have a tendency to not only repeat itself, but if you cover it up long enough, sometimes it has a tendency to resurface, whether we want it to or not. It'll reveal itself when it's ready, when we're ready. So I actually had to get some audio ready, some amazing audio that dates back to the 1960s. Um, let's just say right now up front that we will be hearing the voice of a man who is not with us anymore, and how we need him very much so these days. We really, really need this man, but he is not with us. He hasn't been with us for many years. We will be hearing the voice. The Prince Magnum channel is using its way back machine and going back to the 1960s, and we're really going to tackle this subject. What's going on, Queen? Real quick, so you know, when you were streaming last, what's going on, Mike G? Queen, when you were streaming last earlier today, I was in your stream, and that first light was not Princess Faye, despite what she wanted to say. That was actually me. Thank you, Queen. I appreciate that. So and Mike G, I know you were streaming twice today. Twice. I know you were because did you all of a sudden get a random like in each one and didn't know where they came from? I'll give you two guesses. First one doesn't count. So yeah, I was there. I was there. It's just I was kind of busy, kind of getting tonight. I was looking at how we were going to do tonight, and initially I would go out and work on the bicycle project, but it is just way too hot, way too hot. I mean, I've got some other projects I could do right now, but it is just so doggone hot. I mean, I could do them inside, but I'm not feeling it. So it's like, you know what? Let's have a sit down. Let's talk about some issues and kind of touch base on some things that I think the public here in the United States and kind of some people abroad need to. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I was lurky turkey. Yeah, basically, this is a sensitive subject, and you got to be really careful when touching on these subjects. You have to be very careful because YouTube does not like you talking about these subjects, because a lot of these subjects, a lot of money is going into a particular organization. You have to be careful mentioning them because immediately YouTube's like, no, 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 you can't talk about that. And it's one of those things, by and large, the general group that I'm going to be referencing, I won't mention their name. You guys will know once we get underway who I'm referencing here in the US, a particular interest group, I guess you could say. The general bulk of the group has no idea what's going on above their heads. So that's kind of something that we're going to talk about. We're also going to talk about some issues where I live. Um, we're going to touch base. I will say right now, I don't pay much attention anymore to politics that here in the United States. I don't pay much attention to federal politics because that landscape changes so much. You really, if you want to make a, oh, hey, it was no problem, Mike. It was no problem, man. I mean, you were there, and I mean, I was well when you were streaming the first time. I was at work, and so I really didn't get a chance to, I couldn't really jump in and say anything at that point, but I could run your stream for a few moments and at least drop you a like. So I was able to do that. And then when I was here at home, you were streaming again, and I just popped in and kind of let it run for a little while because I was trying to lie down. What's going on? We got Gavin John here. Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you, buddy. So this is going to be this is going to be a real tough subject because I have to do it justice, and I'm going to say right now, um, I'm not just doing this for the populace at large. I'm also doing this for my twin niece and nephew. I'm doing this for them too. For those who do not know, I'm the oldest of, believe it or not, quite a few siblings. A total of five siblings I have. Two of the, well, four of them. Um, I'm come from a family of six children. Whether it's kind of a convoluted mess. When my mom and dad were married, I'm the oldest of all of us, the original, if you will. And that being said, being the oldest of all of us, I'm then you have my little brother. I have a brother who also served in the U.S. Army over in Afghanistan and in Iraq. He, good to see you too, Blucky. Good to see you too. And he went on to marry this very wonderful African American woman, and they have twins, a niece and a nephew. Then I've got two half brothers that are just from my mom, and then a half brother and a half sister. And you know the half sister because every once in a while she comes in. My sister Hannah, that's from my dad and stepmom. So so that's where all that stands. So that's a pretty big family. That's a pretty big family. But out of all of us, I'm the oldest, and because of my niece and nephew, I'm doing this for them because they really need the right tools and the history and everything because they're half African American, so yeah, yeah. Well, I've got currently got a brother right now who's a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army. He last I heard he was stationed, I think, in Colorado. I don't remember. So he's doing his time for our country here in the United States, and so that is what is going on there. So that's what we're doing. I'm very proud of my family, and my little nieces and my little niece and nephew. I've got some step nieces, and they're wonderful, and I've got nothing bad, but my nephew, the one of the twins, Santiago, he's going to definitely be a gearhead. Oh my gosh, he's already talking cars, and he's what, 3, 4 now. I mean, just very knowledgeable already about cars. He was sitting there looking at his little. My my sister-in-law sent me a video of him looking at these two Hot Wheels, and he holds up one, and he says, "This one is more aerodynamic than this one." And he started trying to explain how one looks sleeker than the other, and I was just so impressed. I said, he's gonna be an engineer. He's gonna be engineering some amazing cars in the future. I said, just make sure to support him all the way. I was so proud of that. I mean, right, Queen. I mean, I wish I could get my hands on the video footage again. I would so premiere it on the channel. Um, Oh yeah, my little sister's amazing. So I mean, that should give you an inside track, talking about current events. So real quick, it is that 10-minute marker, so let's get underway. The first thing that I need to say out of the gate is the Prince Magnum channel does support law enforcement. Okay, I want to get that out of the way. We do support law enforcement, despite what some video. Yeah, he's going to be turning wrenches. He's going to be turning wrenches. The Prince Magnum channel does support its law enforcement, even right here in right, right here, even in little bitty St. Francis County. By and large, our law enforcement. Thank you. My mom got this for me. My mom got this. The Prince Magnum channel does support its law enforcement, generally speaking. And I know in current events here in the United States, there has been kind of an outcry against law enforcement, and it has all to do with what happened, up north in the U.S. and then the riots and the protests. And it has all to do with that. That being said, there's a look at a change of the guard, if you will, right here in St. Francis County. Currently, usually they are. Usually in small towns, not always. Not always. This has not always been the case. What's going on, Miss Kelly? For those that do not know, Miss Kelly, the Coffee Queen, is one of the dear friends of mine, not only here on YouTube but on Facebook as well. Absolutely an amazing, wonderful, wonderful woman. If you've not checked out her live streams, you are definitely missing out. And she's one of the finest ladies in the Maverick Nation. So be sure to check her out. Miss Kelly, if you would do us a big, big, big favor, drop the link to your channel in the chat so we can find you. If you are, oh, thank you so much, Miss Kelly. So if one of the things that I want to, stress, number one, the Prince Magnum channel does genuinely appreciate its law enforcement, because I will tell you, and there's been a couple of times it's happened in live stream when I've been out on the balcony doing work to the project bike, and it was just way too hot to do that today. But they'll pass by, double checking. There you go. Double checking to make sure that things are okay. Yes, dear.
I'm gonna run up and get some cheeseburgers. I suddenly got a craving for cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers sound amazing.
You want a cheeseburger? Do you want a specific cheeseburger, or do you not care?
It doesn't matter. Whatever you feel like getting me, baby.
I will be back.
Alrighty. Loves you. So now that so now that I've said that, the Prince Magnum channel does support its law enforcement. And because we do support our law enforcement, let me say right now that I live in a small town, and the small town police department passes by regularly, making sure that things are okay in my neighborhood. And the Prince Magnum channel has worked shoulder to shoulder in a few instances. She's already took off, Queen. The Prince Magnum channel has worked with its law enforcement to help actually bring in a couple of criminals. As a matter of fact, briefly for a little while in my neck of the woods, we had problems with people breaking into people's cars and into their garages. And the Prince Magnum channel actually caught the people doing it. And Princess Faye and I jumped into Project Spirit, chased the people down, found out where they were hiding out at, and got the police over there. Those people were arrested. Those guys are now sitting in jail. Well, sitting in prison. So we actually, we have worked with the police department to bring people to justice right here in our little town. That also being said, the Prince Magnum channel has worked to get a different prosecutor into the county here in St. Francis County last election, we actually helped expose the previous prosecutor for all the nasty stuff he was doing, and now there's a new prosecutor in office. And currently, right now, there's a dear friend of mine who is running for the sheriff's office for St. Francis County, and he really needs to get in there. And that is none other than Ryan Miller. I think he would be perfect for sheriff because he himself has worked closely while I was DCM and alternate DCM for my area. Right. As a matter of fact, he actually worked, him and several other Farmington police officers and Bonne Terre police officers, all of them, was working closely with Alcoholics Anonymous. Thank you, Lucky. I appreciate that. They were working with us in Alcoholics Anonymous to help bring people in. Basically, if they pulled somebody over for a DUI or had to go for a domestic dispute and it involved alcohol. Thank you, Lucky. I appreciate that. I always felt I was more like the Punisher in a lot of ways. But basically what they did is they would, when they hauled that person, yeah, we're at 1.05K now. They would actually go so far as to give them a schedule of where we were located, where the meetings were at. So the moment they got out of jail, even though they're facing court time, they could start getting help for their problems with alcohol. So they were already working closely with Alcoholics Anonymous, and one of the people who was at the forefront was none other than Ryan Miller, and an amazing friend to the Prince Magnum channel. And so big shout out to Ryan Miller, who is running currently for the St. Francis County Sheriff's Deputy's office. Sheriff's office. He's running for sheriff. And I think it is high time for a changing of the guard. I won't get into the reasons why I think that we need a changing of the guard, but I will say that knowing what I know, we need a change in the guard. We'll leave it at that. It is high time we had a change. So now that I've said that, here just shortly, because there have been protests, I'm going to get my vapor. I'm going to attempt to not smoke during this live stream at any point, okay? I will not be smoking during this live stream. I will be using my vapor. So now that I have said that, let me also reiterate that the Prince Magnum channel is all inclusive, never exclusive. It doesn't matter your race, religion, sexual orientation. There's still some bad stuff that's going on down here. As a matter of fact, we're even going to be touching base on a couple of things. Well, as the title suggests, history has a tendency to repeat itself. Let me say right now that I am Native American. Okay, I still have family on the reservation. My tribe is almost extinct. I'm actually a descendant of the Pima Indian tribe. Okay, so, that being said, because I'm Native American, anything that happens to any of the tribes automatically is on my radar. As a matter of fact, it wasn't terribly long ago, someone in the general public down here asked me what my thoughts were on immigration. And immediately I said this, and they had nowhere they could go with it. They were like, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I said, if my people were a little bit more strict on immigration, we would not be on reservations and almost extinct. Right. And so with all of these, with all the protests and the riots going on, I'm going to say right now, I have a problem with this, because where were these people during Standing Rock. I know there was a lot of people out there protesting, and I know there wasn't a whole lot in the way of media coverage. And I know a lot of people will think that it was over, okay, that it ended. Yes, it did, but it ended very sadly. The the pipeline was done. And I will say that when it comes to our current president, this is where he dropped the ball. But he's a businessman. He's, so I'm going to say that as a businessman, he needed to not think business. Okay. Right. I know you did, Miss Kelly. I know you did. He actually signed an executive order that is not covered by the media. Okay. It's not covered by the media at all. He signed an executive order that if you were out there protesting, you were immediately arrested, and you did not get a trial. You went immediately to prison. Okay. And they put that pipeline anyways. They put it in anyways. That pipeline went through and it did break. And the Lakota Nation is still reeling from the effects. Okay. It destroyed the water supply, and it has affected the environment on the Lakota Nation land. Now, please note how I said that. The Lakota Nation is an actual nation, even though here in the United States they do not recognize the Lakota Nation. It is considered a Native American reservation. The Lakota Nation has been lobbying the UN to recognize them as an actual country. If this happens, they could, make their own laws, and they could even declare war on the United States and form allies against the United States. So this is one of the reasons why the U.S. has been blocking this for many, many years. So right out of the gate, I'm going to say, where were these people that are doing these protests and things like that? Where were they during Standing Rock? And if any of them say, well, yes, I was there, or yes, I brought this to light, then hey, you're all right in my book. But by and large, most of these people were not there. Okay. They heard one particular group that gets a little too much media coverage. And it's usually white liberals that are the first ones to push that media coverage, creating a division in the United States. And it's kind of funny because I actually have some audio right now. We really, really need to hear this audio. So for the first time ever here on the Prince Magnum channel, we're going to reach back in time. And I hope that this audio will really bring things to light, because we really need the words of Malcolm X. Yes, I'm going to say it. I have audio of Malcolm X back from the 1960s. We need him so much today, more now than ever before. We need Malcolm X, but he is not with us anymore. And it breaks my heart, because he was assassinated way back in the 1960s. And we're going to talk briefly about some of the viewpoints of Malcolm X and how badly we need his words today. And as a matter of fact, during Black History Month, he's never talked about anymore. He's actually just a footnote in history. And Malcolm X to me, is one of the great men that I look up to. He is one of the greatest men of all time. And it is so sad, because we really, especially his community, needs him more now than ever before. And this was an actual interview that he did back in the 1960s, and how badly we need his words today. And I hope that all of you can hear this. So here we go. Shoot, hang on a second, hang on. I thought for sure. There we go. All right, we're gonna try this the best we can here. It's just not being cooperative, but that's okay.
Maximum pairing.
Here, we're just going to do it like this then.
But being friendly and being a friend, I think, are two different things. I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly, and therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate. I'd like to point out, though, that I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro, who actually differs from the white conservative in the same way that the fox differs from the wolf. Their appetite is the same. Their motives are the same. It's only their mannerisms and methods that differ. I would agree that no doubt there have been a large number of whites who have posed as liberals and as friends of the Negro and who have time and again betrayed the Negro. On the other hand, I think one could point to a large number of whites who have struggled for civil rights, for equality, and have got little or nothing out of it, other than quite a few bruises. Give me an example. Well, the large number of white students who have gone into the South, for example, working for SNCC and other organizations. Not working for SNCC or other organizations, but working for the white political machines who benefit by the voting efforts of Negro. Okay, I'll be more specific. I would cite Herbert Hill, for example, as a kind of person who has championed Negro job rights, for example, in New York City and elsewhere. He has fought the political machine. The first time I met Herbert Hill personally was when they were picketing to stop the working on the Harlem Hospital in Harlem. Negroes for 10 years had to fight the city to get an annex built on the Harlem Hospital. Because in Harlem, we need a hospital more so than anything else. Our people are sick. Plus, we do a lot of cutting and shooting of each other, though we profess to be nonviolent. And Herbert Hill brought his forces out and stopped the working on that site. This is the first time I ever saw it. Then, when work was brought to a halt on a hospital in Harlem, the same Negroes tried to stop the work at the Downstate Medical Center in Brooklyn, which is predominantly white. They were out there for 3 months during the summer. Couldn't stop anything. And I never saw Herbert Hill out there one time. Now, whenever it takes a stoppage of something that's going to affect the white man, you find the white liberal absent. But when it involves something that primarily will affect the best interests of black people, and black people only, then that white liberal is present. Herbert Hill is the labor secretary for the NAACP. And if he was interested in black people, he would prepare a black man with the type of knowledge and understanding of the labor troubles involving black people that would enable a black man to sit in the same position as Secretary of Labor or Labor Secretary in the NAACP. I'm suspicious of whites who join Negroes and always have to be in the lead, who always have to be the head, who always have to be at the top in Negro organizations. Those whites who really have the interest of blacks at heart, let them give some advice to some Negroes and stand on the sideline. But don't join the organization and then get at the head of it and pose as a friend of Negroes. Well, I would defend his sincerity and his commitment. And more than that, I would say that just because a person is a Negro or a black American does not mean he's going to struggle for Negro rights or for jobs for Negroes or anything else. I think that today, you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas. They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has been betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberals.
Minister Malcolm, I'd like to, well, I could cite one example would be Congressman Dawson, for example, in Chicago. In Chicago, a large number of liberals located in the Hyde Park district have consistently fought Dawson and his betrayals of the Negro, and they've also fought some of the people who represent Dawson on the Chicago City Council.
The only Negro I know who is constantly fought, only Negro politician that I know who is constantly fought by white liberals is Adam Clayton Powell. And they call him a racist because he speaks so bluntly on the race issue. But I'm not familiar with Dawson and his work.
There you have that. So kind of take that in for a moment. Let me say right now, and I know a lot of people are going to be shocked. Malcolm X was very critical, at least in his early days. He was very critical of Martin Luther King, and he often accused Martin Luther King of working when he made that reference of African American leaders betraying the African American community. He was referenced. He said in later interviews that he basically he named Martin Luther King as one of them. So right out of the gate, he was very, very, so think about that a moment. Malcolm X was actually assassinated before Martin Luther King, if you're wondering about that, if you know your history. So now that I have said that, now you know that, all right? How we need his words today. Filming, I wasn't ignoring you, Filming. I'm sorry about that. Basically, I was playing some audio and I did not want to interrupt that audio, so I apologize. Basically, this is I'm tackling a tough subject, okay? So now that I have played the audio from that interview that happened way back when, and we're talking, you can find this on YouTube, and it literally goes by Malcolm X on Liberals. And I review this, I look at this regularly. And I knew that eventually I was going to have to talk about this subject. And I've looked at this, and it's like how we need Malcolm X today. When the first, when Ferguson, the whole thing with Ferguson went down, I looked at that for the first time ever. And again, Malcolm X is a footnote in our history. If you want to hear him mentioned a little bit more regularly, the TV show, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you hear him referenced quite a bit in that TV show. So now that I've said that, let me say right now that the current group that is pushing right now the protests, and they are at the core of those of the riots. I can tell you why he got assassinated, because he was getting ready to petition to the UN that a bunch of white leaders be brought to the World Court and put on trial, and that was around the world, not just here in the United States, but in other countries as well, including the United Kingdom, South Africa, and other places like that. He was really pushing that a lot of these leaders be brought to justice. So if that's any indication, and nobody else was willing to do that, to bring that up, and it was one of those deals. He was assassinated, and there's still a lot of mystery about his assassination. I know what the actual visual accounts are, but then when you read the autopsy report, there's more involved with the autopsy report, including the person who was supposed to be behind it was not. So there's still a lot of speculation about it. The verdict is still out, if you will. But that was one of the things, and he knew it was coming. As a matter of fact, his daughters still speak out on behalf of, they basically have continued his work. His daughters have continued his work, and thank goodness for them. As a matter of fact, they even say, they even have their own choice words about African Americans using the N-word. Basically, they have their own thoughts on it. And I'm like, my God, thank God for these ladies. Thank God for these ladies. You know, thank any God above and below for these ladies for speaking out because someone needed to, you know, that's disrespectful to yourself, you know. But that's, you know, so now that I have played the audio, the main thing that I wanted to point out is currently that one particular group that's behind a lot of these protests. There's a guy funding it. There is a guy who's funding it. The guy's name is George Soros, a white guy. He's been thrown out of a lot of countries for attempting to overthrow democracy. And where he goes, National Socialism follows. There is a particular group that was known for National Socialism, and Germany has never gotten completely over that time under National Socialism. So, unfortunately, no matter how hard Germany tries, it's still a stigma. When you mention Germany, you automatically think of that National Socialist group that was in Germany. So, this is where what George Soros does. And he has now taken over this particular group and is funding it. Now, by and large, the people that towards the bottom, the bottom of the hill, if you will, that's not really the case. They're not really getting anything out of this. And basically, you have a police officer that knew he was on camera, blatantly pulled this off. You guys don't think he's not got someone's not backing him up financially, even knowing this? Shoot, the man knew it. Somebody's paying him off. And I can guarantee where you can point the finger. It's like Chris Tucker said in one movie, always follow the rich white guy. Come on. That's where it's at. Folks, don't fall for this stuff. Be smarter. Be smarter than this, okay? You know, it boils down to the fact that, you know, history has a tendency to repeat itself. We heard the words of Malcolm X. History is repeating itself. In the 1980s, we started getting wise to this stuff and we started making changes. If anything, during the 1980s, we were getting so colorblind that by the 1990s, we started looking at the world a whole lot differently by the 1990s when it came to people's skin color. If you want the best way to, I honestly wish I would have, I honestly wish that people would take this standpoint. If you are one of the greatest ways I could tell you that how colorblind we really need to get, take a baby, okay, that's barely learning to talk, okay, and maybe they've just learned, maybe they've just learned how to say the word baby, okay, and they know what the word means. Take a child that small, okay, and show them a picture of the Gerber baby, okay? Just show them a picture of the Gerber baby. They're not going to notice anything, okay? They're not going to notice the color of the hair, color of the skin, color of the eyes. They're not going to notice anything about that baby other than it's a baby. And one day, hopefully, I'd like to see it in my lifetime, we get so colorblind or so blind to just the outer covering of a person. I hope that one day we get to that point where we have that mindset like our children that are that small, where we only look at the fact that it's just a baby or it's just a person. I would like us to get to that point, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We got a long road ahead of us. It would be a perfect world. Oftentimes, I would love to live in the Star Trek universe on Earth. And I know this sounds really kind of nerdish to bring this up. And I love how the man who played as Captain Sisko, Avery Brooks, amazing actor, one of my favorites. The guy who played as Captain Benjamin Sisko, Avery Brooks, he said, you look outside Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. There's no war, there's no famine, there's nothing like that going on. and it's easy to be a saint in paradise. I love how he put that. It was amazing. Just when he was talking about the Maquis, which ironically, the Maquis in that is mostly Native American. The irony. And they were talking about issues already that we still need to talk about. Again, I'm Native American, and so to me, if anybody should be screaming rights, it should be my people. But there's not enough of us that the media doesn't cover us. Okay, there's not enough of us for the media to take notice. The truth of it is most people say, well, they're living okay on the reservations. No, we're not. The suicide rate is high. Alcoholics Anonymous does extremely well. And in some reservations, gang violence is at an all-time high, but nobody talks about this, okay? Because the poverty level is so high. Homelessness, joblessness, and even in some instances, hunger is so bad. And even of all places, right up on a reservation in Minnesota, you can go there. And in most cases, there's like a communal kitchen where people who don't live on the reservation bring food in from the outside to the reservation just so people can eat. But nobody talks about it. Okay? My people, the Native Americans across the country, are going hungry. Here in Missouri, if you are Native American, they will take your children away. They've done that to me. I have 3 children right now in foster care that should not be. I've had 3 children taken away just because I'm Native American, but nobody talks about this. Nobody will mention it. Okay? These are the subject, and so I get that people want to have immediate justice. Our system doesn't work that way unless you want what I like to call Southern justice. And if these people wanted instant justice, they needed to round up a posse. Okay, that's the only way you get instant justice. Okay, and I granted that the police department that was protecting this officer would not stand in the way of a posse that big. Okay. You could have had your Southern justice, okay? Or Western justice, however you want to put it. Round up that posse, okay? And currently right now, one of the things that really upsets me the most is we're seeing history being changed here in the United States. Again, Malcolm X is a footnote. One of the greatest African-American leaders of all time is a footnote in Black History Month. And that pisses me off. One of the greatest men to ever live is a footnote in Black History Month. Excuse my language to all of the ladies in chat, but that's bullshit. Okay? One of the greatest leaders of our time is a footnote. And he was assassinated, about to bring some racist white liberals to justice. It would have been a different story if he was still alive today. How we need him more now than ever before. I am doing fantabulous, filming. I apologize again. Earlier, I was playing an audio and I could not interrupt it. It was the words of the late, great Malcolm X. And I could not, so I again apologize, filming. I did not mean, I didn't want to make it sound like I was ignoring you. I wasn't. But thank you so much for being here. And I am doing fantastic. It was just too hot to work on anything. And it's like, you know what? I really need to tackle this subject. I can tell you why they hide the truth. I can tell you why they hide the truth. The truth of it is they hide it because there is a hidden agenda. There has been for a long time. Thank you. Thank you so much, Feldman. Bottom of my heart. They are hiding the truth because there is a hidden agenda behind it. And Again, always follow the money, and it always leads to corporate people. They're dumbing us down, okay? And they're dividing the nation. And they're doing this on purpose. Again, there's a white guy right now, a guy named George Soros, who is a national socialist. Again, for those that do not know what I'm talking about, when I say national socialism, I'm going to say it right now. I know many of you out there are all for, and I don't want to be the one to have to do this. There are many of you out there that are all for the use of marijuana, medical marijuana. And when you say medical marijuana, I'm all for it, okay? I'm all for it being used for the purposes of medical, okay? Doctor prescribed, but it has to be doctor prescribed, okay? It has to, you have to get a script, and then you can, and even then, you know. So I'm going to say that right now. But for the purposes of recreational use, we have enough problems with alcohol, for one. And number two, a high society doesn't care when its rights are being taken away. There, I said it. Okay? A high society does not care when their rights are being taken away. This is why there's a push for it to be legalized. And the people who are usually the two types of people that are involved. Number one, the people that they're addicts anyways. Okay, they're just addicts. And yes, you can get addicted to. That also being said, the other type of people that are doing it, those are the ones that want to take your rights away. Period. And yes, even we're finding now, it's not in the news. I did a whole video where I actually outed the CBD oil, okay? Totally threw it out there on In Your Face last year, I believe. Last year? No, it's been almost 2 years ago now. Totally outed it. So there is a push, and I'm going to say right now, our current president, though he's in charge, he's not in charge. There is a second government in the United States that most people don't know about. As a matter of fact, who was it? Vietnam veteran, Air Force. I can't remember the dude's name, but he passes away, and there was such a big to-do because he was the secret government president put in by corporations. The government that we know, and that's to give us the illusion that we have rights. What's good? Yeah, John McCain. Thank you, Warrior Grandma. He was the actual president of the real government that's in charge. Okay, and that he was elected by corporate figureheads. You ever hear of the Bilderberg Group? Yeah, things like that. Okay, start looking at this stuff. Okay. And don't fall for all of it, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, the government that we got right now, Donald Trump, no, he's not in charge. He's not in charge, okay? He's there to give us the illusion that he's in charge. He's there to give us, you know, the feeling like this is what's wrong with the actual government, okay? No, he's not, okay? The Constitution, back in the 1970s, the Congress that we know passed a law in the 1970s that basically said that the citizens of the United States was the actual enemy of the country. Okay, but nobody talks about it. Okay, the problems that exactly greatest puppet president ever. Donald Trump is not our president. You guys, those of you in the liberal community, you were right. He's just there to give us the illusion that we have control. He's just there. As a matter of fact, for the first time ever, we actually seen a traitor to the country who ran for president, and the election was rigged for her, but she still lost, okay? Because there was enough people that were actually informed. But the current president we have right now, he doesn't have actual control, and he knows it. He's just there. That's why we're seeing the issues that we see. Okay? That whole thing where they wanted to put a mural up of that one particular group that I'm not allowed to mention here on YouTube because they've got it tightened down. That was, I wouldn't want that up near my building either. And again, I am a far cry from racist. Okay? And it's just because of the simple fact that honestly and truthfully, they're funded by a guy who's a white national socialist. That's the only reason. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people have a hard time swallowing this here in the United States. So for those of you who are overseas in other countries, yeah, you might think our current president is a joke. He's there to make it look like he's a joke. Okay? He's not in control. You guys are smarter than that. Really. Come on. You guys know how the US government meddles in affairs that in you guys' countries. Okay? You guys are smarter than that. Don't fall for the propaganda. All right? That's what's really going on. And this whole thing is designed in its nature to keep us separated, when in reality, if more than anything, we need to be pulling together. And it's a Native American that's saying this. Because in the end, no matter how you slice it, it doesn't matter which side wins, which side loses. So far, the only people that are truly losing are my people. So maybe if we all pull together, my people and everybody else's communities stand a chance against the true evil that's really going on. Because a day's in, this is all just designed to separate us. When in reality, we need to be pulling together. We're seeing a destruction of history here in the United States, the destruction of Confederate monuments, the looking down on the stars and bars. I'm going to talk briefly about the stars and bars. That is not the Confederate flag. The Confederate flag actually changed a total of, I think, 8 times. That's actually the battle flag for South Carolina. That's just the battle flag for South Carolina. I don't think anybody really says that, but there was a total of like 8 or 9 different actual Confederate flags. They really couldn't decide on one. It kept changing. That's just the battle flag for South Carolina. And the funniest part of that is South Carolina has every right to fly that flag, because at the beginning of the Civil War, the final straw that kind of really set the ball in motion, because it was all really more about states' rights, is what that was really about. The northern states had lobbied to raise the tariffs for the southern states. And as a matter of fact, what it was is they were raising the taxes on all the agricultural products that came out of the southern states going to the northern factories, making it hard for the southern states to make any money whatsoever. And the southern states honestly felt like their rights were being violated in Congress, and basically set in motion that no taxation without proper representation, which should sound very familiar from our Revolutionary War, and felt that they should separate from the Union. Please note what rights I have not mentioned, because the North was just as racist. Okay? They were not going to go to fight for some other, no. They felt the same way that the South did. They didn't care. They kind of felt that it was wrong. But anytime, and I'm going to out a particular religion on this, on a particular book. Every time it would come up, maybe we should abolish it. Oh, I'm not ready to eat right just yet, but
I can still give it to you.
okay, honey. You got me work food. Got me work food. Thank you, dear.
Almost died of embarrassment.
Why?
I decided to stop at Walmart since they were going to be closing soon.
Mm-hmm.
Figured I'd get the paint pen for bike
Right.
so I could be prepared for when you finally had it primed and everything.
Yeah.
I went in there, found a package of pens that were like my Le Pens, but they
Yeah.
were like darker colors. So I was gonna
Yeah,
get those. They're like $10. So I had that, and I had the paint pen. No wallet.
Uh-oh.
Left my wallet here, and I was in the self checkout. So I'm just like, cancel all. Please wait for assistance. Oh God, don't look at me. I forgot my wallet. And the lady was so rude too. She was just like, okay. And I was like, bitch, please.
Like you haven't done that before.
He's like, fucking push me. I will
Right.
walk away and cry. Okay, bye, I love you.
All right, so love you too, dear. I did say it. You didn't hear me? I love you. I'm working here. You don't want to hear this. So now that I have said that,
Oh my God, so get out of here.
let me also say that even Abraham Lincoln was very, very racist. Very racist. As a matter of fact, let me give you a better example. The Emancipation Proclamation. Everyone talks about that. But this was actually changed in history while I was in school, and I'm going to be 41 soon. Okay? August 7th, I'll be 41. So I'm going to actually surprise you all. In 1861 was when the Civil War began. The Civil War ended in 1865. That being said, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1864 and did not free a single slave. Not a one. So, we were lied to then. Yes, I said it. We were lied to then. Oh, it freed the slaves. No, it didn't. And I started to say this. Before the Civil War, there was that whole thing where they wanted to free the slaves. And, you know, I was taught in school that it was one of the issues. It wasn't as big of an issue as you might think. It was really kind of on the back burner. The Emancipation Proclamation was kind of why, you know, I mean, it brought it more to the forefront, but that wasn't until like towards the end of the Civil War. And as a matter of fact, if it had not been for the ceasefire being signed and all of that, let me say right now that the North was about to say, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Let them go. The northern states were at that point. Okay? So now that I've said that, there was an attempt before this to stop it all. And that being said, the attempt went like this. You would usually get someone from England saying, maybe we should abolish slavery. And you would get someone who's in Congress that owned a plantation, and guess what they owned? And they would say, well, it's in the Bible. And as soon as they said it, well, all right, I guess it's okay. Yeah, that's why it continued longer than it should have. That's the only reason why. Okay? And nobody talks about that. It's in the Bible. So now that I've said that and outed a particular group, again, sorry guys, it had to be said. It had to be said, okay? Because it's history. And we need to stop rewriting history. Because here, again, as I said, you know, the title suggests history has a tendency to repeat itself. We're now seeing a repeat of the 1960s all over again. And I never thought I would see it in my lifetime. I never thought I would see it in my lifetime. Something like this. I thought we were long past this, but we're not there yet. It would be wonderful if we were. As I said, let me say right now, when it comes to this particular subject, oh, okay. Our children really should be our guides on this particular subject. Our children really should be. And when I say they should be our guides, again, take a child that's just really learning how to talk and has learned the word baby and learned what baby means. Show them a picture of the Gerber baby, and all they will say is baby, because that's all they see. They don't see anything else. They don't see skin color. They don't see eye color. They don't see if it's cute, ugly. They don't see anything. And if we can just get to that point where our children are our teachers, we might stand a chance. But right now, as it stands right now, there is more division in my country than there has ever been. And believe it or not, it's a rich white guy at the head of it all, causing that division, who wants to bring National Socialism to the United States. Don't take away the history. I'm going to say that right now. Don't take away the history. And I will also say, don't tear down those Confederate monuments, okay? If you tear down those Confederate monuments, we forget why we had the Civil War. We forget the importance of the Civil War. Cannot take your call right now, buddy. We can't deal with the things that are important from the Civil War. It's horrible as it sounds, but if we destroy the history of the Civil War, we will be making it easier for that part of our history to repeat itself. We're already seeing the 1960s repeat itself in a way that I hoped would never happen. And I'm going to point out, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, there was riots that broke out. In my lifetime, I watched the LA riots in 1991 and in 1992. I've watched the Ferguson thing. My sister-in-law is the proud co-proprietor of a tax service that's out of Atlanta. And they had an office in Ferguson that was destroyed by the Ferguson riots. Then we're seeing this again, all over again. And again, my country is divided. My country is divided, and the people that are truly losing right now are my people, the Native Americans. We're the ones who are really losing. And it's sad because no one pays attention. Nobody says anything. It's not in the news. You're not going to find it. If anything, it's only getting worse, because my people will soon be gone, and we're already a footnote in history. So don't let them take away the history that we truly need. The Civil War happened for a reason. There was a reason why those people fought. And for the record, I will say right now, there was Cherokee Native Americans that did fight on the side of the Confederacy. Why did they fight on the side of the Confederacy? They felt that the tribes stood a better chance with the Confederates than they did with the Union. How true they were. Most people don't talk about that either. That's even an even deeper footnote in history, soon to be erased. Things that people don't talk about. It breaks my heart that my country is this divided and that they're changing the history books right now. There are people right now that are even hiding behind religion and stunting our science. If you ask the people over in the European countries, science, art, true culture, even our music is absolutely wretched anymore. Censorship is at an all-time high. Violence is on the rise. Folks, get a clue. It's time to wake up. And what worse time to divide a country, or in this case, depending on what side you're on, what better time to divide a country during a pandemic that was orchestrated? What to do? Okay. How do we stop it? Well, number one, I've already begun. What can you do in your community, just your community, right now? What can you do in your community right now to get this out there, to get this knowledge out? Don't just let it lie in this video. Take this live stream, share it out to your friends, and continue the research. Crack open a real history book. And notice what I said, a real history book. Don't let the knowledge die with me. Start looking up videos of what Malcolm X was saying. I hate to say it. I know a lot of people really look to Martin Luther King, but he was funded by a white guy. And that automatically sends up red flags even for me today. Malcolm X. Look up what he had to say. Of course, I know there's certain religious groups that don't like Malcolm X because he was a Muslim. But it doesn't matter. Again, the Prince Magnum channel recognizes all forms of race, religion, sexual orientation. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you came from. All that matters is what's right here. That's important. All the other stuff doesn't matter. It's what's right here. What's going on between here. What's in your heart and what's in the mind, you know? I did that backwards. That's where it begins. That's why I keep saying we're all inclusive, never exclusive. Who are you deep down? And ask yourself, what can I do to preserve this history? Because if we don't preserve the history, we're already seeing the 1960s repeat itself. And I will say that I believe in my heart it's because Malcolm X is only a footnote in our history. Because of his words, we're still ringing loud and clear, more so than Martin Luther King. I honestly believe that if his words were ringing as loud as it was, we wouldn't have the problems that we're having right now. So go back in your history. Go back in your history and don't let the knowledge of the Civil War die. And don't let what Martin Luther King said. Well, don't let what Malcolm X said. Martin Luther King had some good stuff, but Malcolm X had better. And that's where I stand on that. And again, for the record, Malcolm X was critical of Martin Luther King. So that's where we begin, by looking at the history and sharing it out. The more we share it out, the more people will become aware. And the more we shed the light where those shadows begin, the more likely we are to stop all of this from happening right here in the United States. Because this is one of the last major holdouts left. Okay? I'm even going to say it now. Even in some of the stuff that I enjoy, I've watched the history books being changed too. You all know that I am a huge fan, that I work on old cars. It's all about classic cars. And, you know, that's one of the major things here on the Prince Magnum channel. Get out there and work on a project. And what do I love working on? My classic 1975 Ford Maverick. But even now, the history books are even being changed there. This should be an example, okay? When did the muscle car era end? 1970 or 71, if you want to, you know, kind of go out on a limb. That's when it ended. But if you go in the history books now, it ended in 1980. And now they're trying to say that they never stopped making muscle cars. Again, I apologize for my language to all the ladies in chat, but that's bullshit. It ended in 1970-71. There was an entire congressional act and then the formation of the EPA that ended the muscle car. Okay? So no. And I'm even going to say it right now, there really is no such thing as a muscle car either. Okay? You either have the performance package on a car or it was a performance car. So either you had the performance car or you didn't. Okay? That's as simple as it got. There was no such thing as a muscle car. There was the muscle car era, but there was no such thing as a muscle car. But even now, we see the history books being changed on that. As a matter of fact, the man who taught me how to work on Fords, who's no longer with us, ran moonshine in the 1950s. He knew when those cars were brand new. When I brought up the term muscle car and pony car, stuff like that, he started laughing. He said, "Where the hell did you get that magazine jerk off bullshit?" I said, "Out of Hot Rod Magazine." He said, "No, that terminology does not exist." He said, when those cars were new, you either had the performance car or you didn't have the performance car. You either had or if it was a Camaro, a Mustang, a Firebird, a Corvette, it was a sports car. Period. Okay? That's the way it was. He said, that's all magazine stuff. They're trying to rewrite the history books. And he said that to me in the 1990s. So this has been going on for a while. And if they started in one of my favorite areas, something as simple as cars, just imagine if we continue to let this go, what it'll be like in the next 10. Continue to shout this knowledge out to everyone. Don't let what I started right here in this live stream, don't let it fall on deaf ears, and continue to shout it out and continue to learn. Look in your history. I know a lot of people hate history, but I'm telling you right now, to stop what's happening right now, we have to look into our past. We have to go back to our past. We have to turn back the pages sometimes. Or as one woman said to me when it came to my sobriety, she said, life is like the windshield of your car. You look through the windshield to see where you're going. What's going on, Mike G? Said you have to look through the windshield to see where you're going, but occasionally you got to look in the rear view mirror to see where you've been. Take that to heart. That's where we're at today. For those of you over in the UK, I again want to reiterate, I know a lot of stuff that's been going on right now. That's why I've said for quite a while now, here on the Prince Magnum channel, I've said this for a good long while, that you guys don't even know the half of what's happening in our country. The riots, and I'm going to say right now, the protesters, their hearts are in the right place, but the people that are funding their protest, well, at the top of it all, it's a liberal white guy who's all about National Socialism. Okay? And again, if you don't know what National Socialism is, please look to poor Germany and what happened to them during World War II. There's where National Socialism thrived for a while. Okay? Look no further. Currently, right now, there is a separation in my country, and it's because of a guy funding a group who wants National Socialism. That's what's happening. Okay? The current president we have right now is not really in charge. There's a whole nother government that's running things. He's just there to give it the illusion that the American public is in charge. No, we're not. It's all those dark corporations. Let me put it to you also like this, and I know a lot of people are going to get upset. Do you have anything that's made in China? Most of us here in the United States do. Not much is made here anymore. A lot of companies have moved their stuff over to China. The reason why they've moved all their stuff to China is because of the fact that in China there is no slave labor laws. So if you're part of the riots that break into buildings and steal, say something like Nikes, you know what I'm referring to, steal something like Nikes or some of the sports apparel, because you know where I'm pointing my finger right now. Remember, you're stealing something that was made on slave labor in China. Child slave labor in some cases. But again, nobody talks about that. That's not in the news. China, when I worked with Rawlings, I actually seen some stuff that used child slave labor. And the people that were in charge of the department I was working in was proud of it. I'm like, no, this is not okay. It's not okay. And now they're moving the stuff to Thailand. I wonder why. Think about that a moment. This country still endorses slave labor now. As a matter of fact, I've even gotten to the point now, it says made in China, I try to avoid it. If it's made in Mexico, the United States, Canada, or over in a European country, I'm perfectly okay with that. Congratulations, Mike. You keep moving forward, buddy. You keep moving forward, Mike. I know this is a tough subject, and I hope so far that I have done this subject justice. Or at least attempted to be sensitive to the issues at hand. I hope that I have done right for everyone who's a citizen of the U.S. and a citizen of the world. We really should treat it that way. I hope that I've brought light to a dark shadow that's come across my country. As a matter of fact, the more and more I've seen my country, the more and more Cuba's looking better. Not a joke. A communist country is looking better than the United States. My country is not free anymore. And the citizens are not in charge. Here in the state of Missouri, communism rule, National Socialism and communists rule. And the sad part is, if you go to Cuba, you're actually and that's a straight on communist country. Shoot, you're more free in Cuba than you are in the United States. Oh, and for the record, Adolf Hitler commended the United States in their treatment for Native Americans. Bear that in mind too. That treatment still goes on today. Nobody talks about it. My people are almost extinct, but no one talks about it. And as a Native American, I'm coming forward and saying, stop with the one side, is better than the, deserves, rights. It's time for us all to unite. And it's all time for us to start marching on capitals. But until we do so, this is going to continue. The history books are going to keep changing, and it's not going to get any better. That's where we stand. Again, keep looking to our history. Start with Malcolm X. He's one of the greatest leaders of last century, but he's only a footnote now. Start looking to him if we want it to stop. His words will ring true today, and how badly we need him. We really need him more now than ever. Not these jokers and clowns that are screaming into megaphones. They're not leaders. They're not Malcolm X. Plain and simple. They truly were leaders. They'd be looking at what Malcolm X said, what the real man said. If he was alive, I'd follow that man into hell and back. So, all right. I do apologize for this very, very dark live stream. But if you guys think that I've touched right on the subject, please say so. You know, from the bottom of my heart, if you guys really feel that I have done this subject right, then please say so. You know, it's one of those things. I'm grateful that I grew up during the time that I grew up in, because I've seen a lot of good change, but I wish that change would continue, but it's not going to at this rate. We're actually regressing right now. We're regressing. We're going backwards. And bring back the Dukes of Hazzard, dang it. That was quite possibly one of the most colorblind shows I ever seen. Ever. Be honest with you. That was one of the most colorblind shows I ever seen. I know what some people will say about the Stars and Bars being on top of the general lead, but the real truth of it is, the next county over, from Hazard County in the TV show, they had a black sheriff. Not a joke. Watch the TV show sometime. Yeah, nobody talks about that. And I will say also to the rioters, as the guy who played Uncle Jesse, how we need his words today, from the Dukes of Hazzard would say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Okay? 2 wrongs don't make a right. And yes, I'm also a believer that, and I know my sister-in-law will probably get upset because, they're confused. No, those are homegrown terrorists, sis. Those are homegrown terrorists. Okay? They're not confused. They know what they're doing. When you're shuttling them in by buses, yeah, they know what they're doing. Okay? They're there to cause problems. All right? There's no confusion about it. If they're moving in pallets of bricks and things like that, get a clue, sis. Get a clue. Your business suffered from that. They burned the building, okay? Get a clue, folks. History is just going to get worse. Like I said, again, our current president is not in charge. There's a whole nother government. Thank you for Warrior Grandma for pointing that out, how John McCain was actually, when he passed away, there was a big to-do over him. I was like, just senator. Oh, he was important. He was special. Yeah, we found out. It was Alex Jones that exposed it, basically outing him as the secret president that was put in by corporations, because there's 2 governments in the U.S. There's the one that we all think of, that you guys even know over UK. But then there's the other one that's instituted by corporations. And basically, if you will, there is a president, and then there's our puppet president. The puppet president is Donald Trump. He's the puppet president. He's not in charge. He's there to give you the illusion that the American public is in charge. So he's a laughing stock in a whole nother way, not the way you think. So there you have it. Again, if you are in the live stream and you're kind of taking this all in. Wow, you guys said a few things. Oh, thank you. Real quick, Mr. Kuko Games. I haven't been over to see him in a minute, but Mr. Kuko Games, Kuko, I'm going to tell you, I was in your live stream where you did the drag, and amazing job. I was blown away. And I'm going to say it right now, my dear friend, you look much better without the beard and mustache. You look absolutely amazing. Just a handsome looking person through and through. just you're a good looking person. You don't need all that scruff. You look much better without it. Much better without it, my friend. If you've not checked out Kuko Games, you need to get over there and check him out. Amazing friend to the Prince Magnum channel. I don't get to get over there enough. Just an amazing, amazing person. Wonderful personality. I wish there was more people like him here in just my country. Shoot, just around me, physically, if you will. I wish there was more people with his wonderful personality. There's so many people that could. I wish there was even more people like you on YouTube. You have a wonderful, warm personality. I don't think I've ever heard you say anything hateful to a single soul. I mean, you'll tease and joke, but I've never heard you be hateful to anyone. And I wish there was more people like you. So if you've not checked out Kuko Games, you are definitely missing out. Just a wonderful, wonderful person through and through. Again, we've got a lot of wonderful people here in stream right now. Let's take a look-see real quick. We got Miss Queen Bee. Miss Queen Bee runs a very interesting YouTube channel. She doesn't say much, but when she does talk, she's a very, very wonderful woman. I don't think I've ever heard her say anything cross to anybody, except when someone gets hateful towards yours truly right here, or, the missus or anybody. I mean, if someone's being mean to somebody, she'll stand up for that person being bullied. And Miss Queen Bee is one of the finest ladies that has ever graced the Prince Magnum channel through and through. So if you've not checked out her channel, please do so. Miss Kelly, the Coffee Queen, is in right now. I'm actually a member of Facebook community. Oh, you don't have to be quiet. No, you don't have to be quiet. I've heard you speak, and when you speak, what you say really counts, Queen. So I'm gonna say that right now. But Miss Coffee Queen, Miss Kelly, I'm part of her Facebook community called the Sunnies. And I will say right now that the Sunnies are just that. We all really try to build each other up. And I have nothing but good to say about my fellow Sunnies. Amazing people. A lot of us in the Sunnies have went through a great deal of adversity, and we continue to do so even to this day, myself included. And being a member of the Sunnies has given me a group on Facebook that isn't all about politics. It's not about this. It's not about that. We're just about building each other up. And that should automatically tell you what kind of woman Miss Kelly is. I don't think I've ever heard her say anything cross. I know a lot of times, she tries so hard. That's okay, honey. You go right on ahead and mingle with everyone in here, baby. You know that. My channel is a lot of times the Prince Magnum channel is more Princess Faye than anybody's channel, because I'll tell you what, a lot of times she does some amazing stuff on this channel. All I can do is go, gosh dang it, honey, you're blowing us all out, all away. That's just the way it is. My wife's amazing, and my wife occasionally streams. If you've not checked out any of her stuff, go over to Fayru and hit that big support button and ding that bell. I promise you won't be disappointed. I have an amazing wife, and I'm very grateful for my wife. So be sure to network with each other. The Blues, check out the Blues, and Blues, get over there and grab the people and grab the white collar folks, and be sure to drop that into the chat if you are so inclined. If you run a YouTube channel, make sure we get your link. Okay, that's why we have the wonderful people in blue. And we've got a lot of wonderful people in here. In the background, I know he's listening. A dear friend of mine named Think Different. Now, he doesn't necessarily run a YouTube channel, but I'm going to tell y'all right now, Think Different is actually lives in my community. He lives in my community. He lives over in the town I work in, which is a couple of towns south of me. So he lives right here in St. Francis County and an amazing person through and through. There you go, Mike G. You better come in here and hang on, Mike. We're going to get to you too. Think Different is an amazing friend. Him and I got to hang out sometime. We got to hang out a lot sometime, go, get over there in Wang Chung. Oh, no. She's moving things around. Real quick, our dear friend, good old Mike Gaming. If you've never been to his live stream, you are missing out. Again, another one you're missing out on. Wonderful friend to the Prince Magnum channel, member of my Discord. Just an amazing friend to the Prince Magnum channel. And I'm hoping sometime here in the very near future to have a Discord phone call with Mike Gaming. I just want to talk to him, hear some of his story, because he himself has also went through some major adversity. And I would just love to hear his story. Mike, we all call him lovingly Mike G here on the Prince Magnum channel. He's one of the most important members, one of the most important members of the Maverick Nation. Now, real quick, if you do not know what the Maverick Nation is, well, if you click that big red support button to the Prince Magnum channel, you are already a member of the Maverick Nation. The Maverick Nation is all of you watching right now. Yeah, he does. You are a member of the Maverick Nation. And what does it mean to be a member of the Maverick Nation? Really, all it means is you guys think outside the box. You guys don't conform to the normal way of thinking. You're not a sheeple. Okay? You're not a sheeple. Plain and simple, you're a maverick. You think like a maverick. Okay? Not the car, but you think outside the box. Heck, if anything, you take that box and you tear it up and say, let's start fresh. You're unorthodox and you're free-spirited. That's how Project Spirit got her name. You walk to the beat of your own drum. And as the host of the Prince Magnum channel, I'm just the mouthpiece. What you're already thinking, I just say it. That's the difference. That's what it means to be a member of the Maverick Nation, which makes your voice right now. Right now I'm just trying to be you guys' voice. If anything, the one thing that, I hope that you guys take from what I just said, we're trying to be the voice of reason sometimes. Yes, I'm going to be live tomorrow. And you know what I'm going to be doing? Sober talk tomorrow. We're going to get to all that in a moment. Being a member of the Maverick Nation, I'm just trying to be the voice of reason. Be your guys' voice. Okay? At day's end, you guys are the most important people in here right now. I could turn on a camera and say this stuff to a camera and it wouldn't mean a thing. It's you guys who are what's making this the real deal. Okay? You guys are the ones that make this what it is. You guys are the Maverick Nation. And more than anything, it's all of you that are sending me where I'm going. It's all of you that are the true power that needs to be heard here on YouTube, and for that matter, around the world. I only hope that at the end of In Your Face tonight, that your voice was heard. And I hope I was that voice. More than any. Let's get on to what's yet to come later throughout this week for here on the Prince Magnum channel. At the forefront, tomorrow is Thursday night. Thursday night is Sober Talk. We will go live and we will talk about sobriety. And I am a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous with a grand total of over 14 years of continuous sobriety. No drugs, no alcohol for this guy right here. And yes, that even includes not even smoking pot. I don't touch that stuff. I found you can beat your head against the wall and get the same effect, really. Yeah, I said it. 100% me, no additives or preservatives. So we go live 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, US. For those over in the United Kingdom, that would be about 1 o'clock a.m. I'm not sure what it is in Australia. I know we have people. Woohoo! Congratulations, Mike G. You were on your way. Get to that 100 marker. It's actually really hard to hit 100. And once you get to 100, you kind of take off. If you do your cards right, you take off a little bit. And then when you get to about 300, it's a little difficult. And then you hit another hard spot when you get to about 5. It gets a little tough around 7. Actually, 7 went really quick for me. And then around 900, it was a struggle. When I hit 1K, YouTube will do a huge purge. And you have to keep grinding and to get back over to that 1K. They'll do a couple of purges and then you stay at the 1K. And then when you get close to 1.1, they'll do another purge. So kind of a heads up. That's actually what happened to me. Because at one point I was sitting at 1.08 and they did a purge. There you go. You better put your link in the in the comments or something like that. You better make sure we can find you, Kevin. That's what's up. Be sure to put your link in the chat so we can get over and see you. So that, again, I hope tonight I hit all the right nerves in the right way. There you go, Queen. You're almost there. You're almost 300. We'll get you there. I'll help you. So Thursday night is Sober Talk. Okay. There you go. And then, Thursday night, Sober Talk. Friday, if Princess Faye can get out of work soon enough, we will do Freaky Friday instead of Sexy Saturday. Because Princess Faye will be closing, she'll be closing Saturday night, so she won't get home till really late, and I have to work Sunday. They cut my weekend short. For reasons no one told me. So that is where we stand on that. So the plan is, if she gets home soon enough, we will do a drag makeup live Friday night. That also being said, after the makeup comes off, because I have Saturday off, at midnight Saturday night, I am going to go live. And we're going to be streaming Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I am going to stay live from midnight till I can't stay awake no more. I'm going to be shooting, hopefully, for close to a 24-hour stream. I don't think I'm going to make it that long, but we're going to shoot for at least 12 hours in the attempt to shoot for this. Freaky Friday, love it. But if we do not, I'm basically going to look for a particular charity to stream for. Okay. And I'll also be trying to take donations for the Prince Magnum channel as well that day. So if you do want to donate to my channel, we're looking at that. I'm going to shoot for 12. All right. I think I could do it. I'm going to do it. And Breath of the Wild is going to be so much fun. We're going to party hardy. We're going to have a blast. We're going to rock and roll. But if Freaky Friday doesn't happen, heads up, 7-Up, I do have something in plan. We might do a cooking live stream, more likely. If Freaky Friday can't happen, we will do some sort of cooking live stream. I am going to give myself one hell of a challenge, guys. Yeah, I know. Well, there's another way around that. But work's going pretty good. I'm a little overworked, and but they're trying not to work me to death. If that's any indication, they're trying not to work me to death. They're doing their best. I'm kind of upset that they cut my weekend short because I wanted to shoot for a 24-hour stream, but that's not going to happen if I have to go into work Sunday morning. It isn't going to happen. But I can do a 12. So now that I've said that, let me also say that I'm going to be I'll either be doing some sort of stream to raise money for a charity, which that'll still be at the forefront, or I'll be doing a stream to also raise money for my channel, because Project Spirit's getting ready to go into the shop around September for her automatic transmission. Okay. So anybody who wants to donate, basically order for parts and have them sent here directly to HQ. I know somebody's got my email, and I really hate to have to to grab another device and open it up just to put my email. But princemagnum1@gmail.com, get a hold of me, and I will, so you can donate directly to the channel, or if you decide you want to donate parts. I know sometime here soon I'm gonna do a parts list of what you could, if you want to buy something for Project Spirit, you can. Or if you want to buy something for Project Lena, I know if Ian's listening, if you want to buy something for Project Lena, you can. So we're going to start opening up donations, whether YouTube likes it or not. On top of that, we may be streaming Monday, and I may be taking the day off Tuesday instead. That's up in the air at this moment. I will be streaming Sunday, most definitely, but I don't know what we're going to be streaming. Thank you, Queen. See, I knew Queen had my back. Shoot me an email. You can shoot me an email at any time. And that's all right. I kind of know your thought process on that, Kevin. Yeah, you got it right, Queen. You got it right. That sort of thing. So yeah, most definitely I'm not sure if we're going to do a donation stream for my channel, or if we're just going to try to raise money for a charity. And if we do, we might actually try to do it for St. Jude's. Okay. Or then again, we might try the Ronald McDonald House. I don't know. But any way you slice it, we're going to try to raise money one way or the other. I will let you all who are in the Discord kind of decide on that. If you guys want to, if it should be money for a charity event of some sort, or if it should be money that should actually go for my channel, if you feel that way. We're getting close. The Teespring store for the Prince Magnum channel will be open soon. We are working towards setting up merch. It's almost done. Princess Faye actually has all the stuff to finish that. We're almost ready to say we have merch. We're almost ready to say that we almost have merch. Okay. You too, Mike G. You too. We're almost ready to say we have merch. You'll be able to buy Prince Magnum channel merchandise. Yes. The Prince Magnum channel will be a brand soon. Isn't that awesome? We're pretty well ready to begin merch. Hey, no, I get it, Kevin. If you get a moment, pop over long enough to say hi, and we'll still appreciate that. We'll still appreciate that. If you get a chance. If not, hey, that's okay. Playback is just fine too. But I know how some people feel about Sexy Saturday and Freaky Friday. Okay. Um, I know we were going to try for the, the whole, um, regardless, I know one of the next times we do the drag, I know definitely, I thought that this Saturday was going to be, a definite for Sexy Saturday, but that is not the case. But I do know that not this Saturday, but next week Saturday, Sexy Saturday will definitely be back on. Okay, so heads up, 7 Up. Because I'm ready to have drag makeup put back on me. So much fun. Mm. Oh, I know you do. And it's the only time for the record, whenever the makeup's on me, someone asked me what my drag name would be, and I always like to say it's Cinnamon. My drag name's Cinnamon. I hope my mother's not watching the stream right now. Oh my God. Oh, my mother would have a conniption. That is not funny, son. That is not funny. My goodness. So that's where we stand right now. Sunday, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that at some point, I'm going to try to squeeze in sometime this week where we will be priming. Thank you, Warrior Grandma. Appreciate you being here. But real quick, I will also say that at some point we're going to try to get the bicycle done. We're going to try to get it primed, and Princess Faye will be picking out the paint that goes on. We're going to try to stream that sometime during this week. So heads up. That is the plan right now. Now, that's not to say that plans couldn't change. So heads up, 7 Up, that is where we stand right now. Going into next week, hopefully we'll have some parts to kind of review. I know we're expecting a package from 3rd Gen 83. So there will be, as soon as it gets here, there will be an unboxing. And I'll probably cry on stream again. So, all right, that brings us to a good stopping point because I'm hungry and I have food waiting on me. Princess Faye bought me work food. Niggities! I loves me my cheeseburgers, okay? I don't care I know they're not good for me. And I'm supposed to be getting in shape. That's why we're rebuilding the bike so I can start, getting into shape. But that's where we're at. Oh, that is just so wrong. And of course, I do have a challenge out where I have to take a ramen noodle. I have to make a ramen noodle dinner for 2 on $10 or less. I do have that challenge out, so I will be doing that. Even though the person didn't formally challenge, they brought it up. So, Miss Veronica, if you are somewhere in the background or did not know, I will, a member of the Sunnies, I will be doing that challenge for you, where I will make a dinner for 2. Oh, Kevin, you're awesome, man. I will definitely do that for you. That is definitely on the plate. Miss Veronica, a member of the Sunnies, I'm going to do that challenge for you. Even though you didn't formally. You're all right, Kevin. I wouldn't have you any other way. All right, so that does bring us to a good point where we do need to stop for the night. Right? Can't wait for next Monday. Yeah. All right, so that does bring us to a point where we do need to stop. For those of you in the Discord, leave me your thoughts and comments. Should I do the 12-hour stream for Legend of Zelda to raise money for charity, or should I do it for donations for the Prince Magnum channel? It's completely up to you. I'll let you guys decide. All right. As always, get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is. Just do something with yourself. Remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet and do something special for them today. And as always, for every last one of you out there, if no one out there has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.